Hello, welcome back to Curated by Chelsea, or welcome if you are new here. I am Chelsea and this is Curated by Chelsea, and today we are going to be doing a little cozy chat, girl talk, just talking about things. And I do kind of want to talk about who I am and what it is that I'm bringing on this particular platform. This is definitely going to be a chatty one, hence the chat. I would really love lots of activity in the comments. Grab your cup of tea, or in my case, strawberry lemonade from Chick-fil-A. Grab your iPad, start drawing, your notepad, start writing, brainstorming, whatever, because this is definitely going to be a chatty one. First, I just want to briefly talk about who I am. I am Chelsea, and my background is in fashion marketing management. That's what I got my college degree in. And I haven't really done anything with fashion other than sew some clothes since then. I did work at a clothing store while I was still in college, and that was fun. If you're familiar with C Wonder, I actually worked there for, 4 months? 3 or 4 months. And then they closed shortly after that. After that, I did a lot of graphic design work for people. I designed flyers, I did diagrams for a few businesses that work for the government. I also have designed an app. There's not much I can say about that job, but I also was a barista at Starbucks. So I'm very familiar with odd jobs, regular jobs, and desk jobs. I worked in social media for 2 years, doing a little bit of social media, but more so just being an assistant for the most part. I did like the stability of that job, but I really wasn't doing what I wanted to do there. I did actually want to do social media, so it was kind of like losing its purpose for me, so it was time to leave. Also, I was juggling so many things at once and I was burning myself out very badly, so it was time to go. And since 2020, I've been running an art business, a sticker business at that. It is currently going through a rebrand, something that I've been working very hard and diligent on, but it is time to like go through with it now, even though I am terrified. So that is where we are. And I also make content, obviously. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Instagram, and I also do some UGC work. And I recently just did my first paid collab, my first big girl collab, not the $10 ones, the big girl collab. I'm very happy about that, and I look forward to doing more of that. I enjoy doing both the influencer work as well as the UGC side of things. Okay, so I've always chosen content creation. This is something that I've been wanting to do since probably around 2012, 2013. I started doing YouTube videos with a friend back in like 2012, I believe, and we were just making silly videos and they didn't go anywhere. I think we made like 2 videos and that was it. And then I decided to just make my own channel and just do what everybody else was doing, makeup videos, talking about my favorites, doing random hauls, you know, back in that day. By 2015, I was still uploading pretty often. I did a lot of fashion videos 2015 through 2017. And then from there, I just kind of fell off because I was working a desk job. I probably still have some videos up and you can check them out. I'm a little itty bitty baby there, and I've always been into content creation. I also have a blog called Chelsea K, and I recently just started posting back on there, and I have been doing that since 2015, and I stopped posting consistently in 2021. Again, just the whole burnout thing. I was trying to post 3 times a week, and silly me. So I've always been very interested in content creation. I love taking pictures of things. I'm really not that big on video unless it's long form, which is why short form I cannot get into it like I need to. Long form I'm okay with just because it's more like a diary, I guess, for me. But I absolutely love pictures, which is why I will probably never let Instagram go. I didn't find out that you could get paid like how people are from doing social media and creating content until like maybe 2017. This was back before it was called influencer, before it was called content creation. You were either a YouTuber, a blogger, a vlogger. That was the names of things. And now it's just called content creation because it's just so many different jobs that you can do. I was initially creating content around being multi-passionate, but I just didn't really know how far I could go with that. I'm sure I could still keep going if I wanted to, but I have to be passionate about what I'm talking about in order for me to keep talking about it. And it's very hard for me to keep making any type of content, or in general just keep talking about the same thing. Like I said earlier, I've transitioned into talking about cozy content. And the reason I have decided to talk about cozy content, and I briefly talked about this in my last video, it is because I have always been kind of a cozy girl. Even with the 3 jobs, I was still sort of cozy and just very chill and laid back. My life is kind of cozy. Like I, get done with work and I cozy up in my bed. I'm quick to pull out a book, but I've always been that girl that's like, I want to be in my bed. I miss my bed. So that's why I decided to like go with cozy content. Even the way I live my life is very cozy. I am one of those people that I cannot watch just anything. Like if somebody's like, oh yeah, you should watch Severance on Apple TV, I'm probably not gonna do it. I am one of those people that has to kind of know what's gonna happen before I actually watch it. Not always, or it just has to be very predictable. So I stick to things that I know nothing crazy is gonna happen. I don't like Black Mirror type of vibes when it comes to TV shows. Anything that's too much, that gives me anxiety. Like that's what the shows do. They give me anxiety. I will watch anime, but some animes I cannot finish Attack on Titan for the life of me. It's too much. It is too much going on. It gives me so much anxiety. At one point I wasn't sleeping after I was watching it. I even like TV shows that are considered cozy or wholesome, I'll say, like The Good Witch. The Good Witch is such a good show. It's one of them Hallmark shows that Netflix picked up, and it's about a witch and she's really intuitive, I guess. But she is a witch, but she doesn't ever say that she is. I enjoy that show, okay? And I will always go back to it. It's very interesting. And what's her name? This little bit is in it. And anything that she's in is is not good. But why'd I say it like that? Anything that she's in, you know that she's gonna do well. The acting is not the greatest. The main characters are decent. But it is a good show. It's very wholesome. And I can just vibe. Anything that's in a like universe like Marvel, I can watch. I know what to expect. I know what's coming typically. And I will say I used to watch a lot of stuff back in the day, but as I got older, I started noticing that like I would hyper focus on certain aspects of a show or a movie after I watched it. So like, let's just say a Black Mirror episode, I would question why the person would do that. And I would keep questioning it in my head. Why would they do that? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And I would kind of like try to problem solve for them, even though it's a TV show. Like, why am I so like fixated on what they did? And then it turns into this whole thing, and then I have insomnia for the next week. Like it's crazy how my mind works. So I've had to stop consuming that type of stuff, because as interesting and cool as Black Mirror sounds and a lot of the episodes seem to be, I cannot watch it. And unfortunately, a lot of very popular things go on that list. So yeah, I chose the cozy life because for real, the cozy life chose me. Not to be funny, but seriously, like I can't do certain things. Also, I just really like to be comfortable in, my clothes. I like to be comfortable in my bed. I need the temperature to be comfortable. Like everything needs to be a certain way, but like not in a like controlling way like that. Like obviously if it's hot outside, it's hot outside. I can't change that. When I do find a series that I find to be palatable for me, I will binge it. Right now I am watching Agatha All Along. Again, that's Marvel, so if that makes sense. I thought it was gonna be goofy, so I actually wasn't going to watch it, but I decided to like just see what it's about, and I was like, okay, this is good. I think it's very cute. There are some spooky aspects of it, which doesn't bother me. I actually don't mind scary movies. Again, most of them are very predictable, so they don't bother me that much, which is weird. So weird. I also like reading books. I know I keep saying I'm gonna do the reading vlog again. I promise. I just gotta find the time. Enough about myself. I hope I did not ramble on too much talking about myself, because ew. In my last video I talked about living your best cozy life, and I mentioned elevated coziness. So what even is that? We can all agree that coziness is like wrapping up in a warm blanket, a cup of hot tea or coffee, and binging your favorite TV show. Just being comfortable at all times. It's very calming. You got calming music going on, or you're just chilling, crocheting. Those things, we can all say that they're cozy. But we can also elevate them, and we can elevate them with just very little things. And sometimes you might want to pay for something that elevates your coziness, or sometimes you just want to implement something that will elevate it. And that is what I talk about in that video, about how certain things like routines can very much elevate your coziness. But some of the things that I mentioned in there is that your bedding can really elevate your coziness, especially more expensive, higher quality bedding like Quince. Shout out to Quince. Not sponsored, but I would love that. Cook linen, parachute. Oh, just the list goes on. Buffy sheets. There are certain things that you can do to actually elevate your cozy experience. I did not think I would be talking this much, or that time would pass so quickly. Also, just different routines. Like your skincare routine can be very cozy. Like the more comforting you make things can really just take it over the edge and really elevate it. So that is what elevated coziness is, and it's something that I think I want to talk about more, especially the older I get. I do feel like the older people get in general, we should start to elevate our lives. Like, we don't have to live like we did in our 20s, because in your 20s you're working a lot, you're kind of hustling, and you're just trying to get to the life that you want when you turn 30 or 30 and up. The thing is that it's hard to get out of your 20s mindset of like hustling and trying to get the bag and make the money, which I still think that you can get the bag, make all the money you want, but we can also do it in a way where we're not burning out and stressing ourselves out constantly and not resting. So those are just some things that I have thoughts on, and I think we need to start prioritizing. And I think being cozy is a form of self-care. I also think it is a lifestyle. So I don't know. I just feel like we should talk about it more. Initially, when I was going to come back to YouTube, I was going to start talking about cycle syncing, but I also thought that that might scare some people. Because nobody wants to sit here and just have a channel on talking about your cycles. Like, ew. I remember back in the day when like the cups and the reusable panties pads came out. There were whole channels on that stuff, and I was like, how do people talk about this like consistently and constantly? Like, we're talking about this, and it's like, ooh. And you kind of do have to use yourself as an example for those types of videos. But I definitely thought, since we're talking about elevated coziness now, I can somewhat bring in cycle syncing in there, because I've been cycle syncing on and off for about 2 or 3 years, or going on 3 years. And cycle syncing is basically keeping up with your cycle and syncing your life around your period. And the reason why you want to do that is because your different stages or phases of your cycle affect you hormonally. So with your follicular phase and your ovulatory phase, you're going to be here, your energy levels are going to be pretty high, and you're just going to feel like, yeah, this is great, woohoo, I'm having a great time. Ovulatory, you're probably going to have a little bit more energy and you're going to want to do more. And then you get into your luteal and menstrual phase, and obviously we know what the menstrual phase is, because that's when you are actually on your period. You probably have no energy, you probably feel sick and just yucky. And your luteal phase is your PMS phase. I'm pretty sure most of us know that by now, but just, I gotta do a little briefing on it. But your luteal phase is your PMS phase, and you probably have no energy. You don't want to do anything. You're hungry. You want to pig out on any and everything in your path. Or you might be the opposite and you just have no appetite. I've used to be very much like pig out, gotta eat everything in my path, but now that I'm older, I guess, or I don't know what's going on, I don't even want to eat. Eating sounds gross when I'm PMSing, and like the only thing that I crave is maybe like chocolate, and I made a point to eat dark chocolate. While it is syncing your life around your cycle, you are also probably going to sync your diet and your workout routines, because those also play a part in this. So the first time I saw this was back in 2020. This girl was syncing her whole work life around her cycle. It worked for her because when she was on her period, she could rest. And when she was in her luteal phase, she didn't have to do too much brainstorming, use any brain power for that matter. So she just kind of, oh my gosh, every time I start filming I get text messages. Like, it's so funny. I fully believe that every menstruating person should start thinking about cycle syncing, or start it if it does affect you in a way that is negative, like you really are out of commission for your luteal and your menstrual phase, because sometimes it can be pretty bad. And also look into if you have PMDD or PCOS, because it can affect you a lot worse than others. But I'm not gonna go too much into like what you should eat and how you should work out, but obviously your first 2 phases you're gonna want to do the most, and your last 2 you're gonna want to do nothing. So that's like the Spark Notes version of what cycle syncing is. And I do feel like now that I am talking about coziness and elevated coziness, that cycle syncing is also something that I can incorporate into that, and I probably will at some point. I actually have a video in the drafts that I filmed a year ago and I never posted it because I was like, I feel like this might be a little too much for me to just start out with. So I will go back to the drawing board, maybe refilm it, also make it a little bit shorter because it is a very long video. Even though I am a very cozy girl and I love to be snuggled up, warm, and all that, I still work out. I still go to the gym. I make it a point to take care of myself because, again, I am older, and I think it's important to move, like, especially because, like, the way I'm sitting on my bed, I sit on my bed a lot. I really need to get out of that habit. I've been using the stepper machine that you can get on Amazon. Like, I've been using that because we definitely need to get our normal activity back up. Going to the gym really, like, kind of sucks. I'm not gonna lie, like, why do we do that to ourselves? Like, yes, the results are absolutely fabulous, but going is just, it feels like the worst thing ever. I really love this content creator thing, and I love art. I love making my art. I really do. It's just, I would choose some of the hardest careers out there. Like, I really would, where the money is not that stable. Like, you really have to be constantly working and being busy with content creation and art. But it's like, I can't help it. I have to do my art and I have to be successful in it. So I just am like, okay, we're gonna lock in, rebrand this freaking art business, sell these damn bookmarks. I just really thoroughly enjoy content creation right now, and I've always loved art. My mom really instilled art into me. She is an artist, and when me and my brother were kids, we would go with her to work in the summers, and she would teach these workshops for older kids. And I just remember that being so much fun. And even in school, I loved my art classes. And I don't know, art is amazing. It's so amazing. It's how we really communicate and document all of our history. It is just so intricate to me. And I do love that I can do art in different ways because I also sew. I crochet clothes. I don't know, it just makes me feel like I'm capable of anything. So art is lovely. But content creation, which I do consider art as well, is like a separate entity to me a little bit. I just find myself drawn to content creation, and I always have, even though putting myself out there like this is absolutely scary and almost insane. Okay, I had to film this last part over again because I was starting to look very crazy in the last part of this video for whatever reason. I don't know what's going on, but I'm also being very nitpicky. Yeah, this is while I'm editing right now. Anyway, I'm over here in my yellow chair. I have one more talking point that I need to go over, and it is that I want to be more slow, like intentional, mindful, whatever you want to call it, slow living. I feel like slow living can be interpreted different ways. I've seen it described as like, oh, when you're living slow, you're like homesteading, ranching, you're cooking everything from scratch, that type of slow. But to me, it's more like intentional living and mindful living. You're not always in a rush. You are still like participating in the rat race, but you're definitely just being more mindful of your decisions, what you're eating, what you're doing, you know. I feel like routines and systems really fall into intentional living, but there's a little more to it than just that. I also think that it could just be prioritizing rest over work. There's a bunch of planes flying over right now, which is so funny because it's like almost 9 p.m. I think when it comes to slow living, you're like, yeah, I have this morning routine and this is a good way for me to get my day started, but I'm taking it slow. I'm not in a rush. I will wake up at 6 a.m. instead of 8 a.m. in order to have this nice slow morning routine so that I'm not rushing. It's just little things like that to me that mean slow living to me. This has been something that I have been kind of chasing after since 2015, 2016, but it's very easy to speed up and not be as intentional about things because you start making more money, you start wanting to do more things, go out, be more sociable. So you just start to kind of fall in line just like everybody else does. But then I will say 2020 definitely had me wanting to chase after the slow life again because we all know what happened in 2020. So now that I am older, I can actually grasp it in a much better way and stick by it. And of course, that does not mean that I'm not going to work. I do believe I mentioned this earlier, that just because, you know, I want to live more cozy and be more intentional does not mean that I'm not working at all. 2024 was definitely the year that I was going to be more intentional. I kind of prophesized this, that I was going to be more mindful and be more intentional. And that's why I started uploading these videos and creating routines, being on top of my finances and just getting it together, like finally getting it together. Not that I didn't have my life together before, it's just there's always been this, I don't really know my life path, I don't know what I want to do with my life. It's always been that way. So I do feel like now that I'm like going back into being more intentional, I do get more clarity of what I want to do with my life and what that is going to look like. That's really all I have to say. I'm gonna close this out now since the last bit of this video got kind of derailed. If you want to see more girl talks, please leave a comment down below. If you want to see more organization, leave it in the comments. If you want to, just let me know in the comments what you want to see more of from me. Like, did you really like the multi-passionate content, or do you prefer the cozy content? Do you like the idea of elevated coziness? Could you see yourself being a part of this community? I need a little bit of feedback. Really enjoyed this girl talk. I wish the rest of the footage would have gone a little bit better, but I don't mind this corner either because it's actually a corner. So, well, sort of. I'm next to a corner. But anyway, that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up, and if you want to see more content like this, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.